On January 6th, 2020, at about 2:45 a.m. Pacific time, the moon ingresses into Krittika, the activator. And the Tarabala, or the quality of this ingress, is Vipada, which means that it weakens. What is it weakening? It's weakening the base nakshatra. And since we're basing this whole thing on a month's lunation, our base nakshatra is the new moon in Mula. So this means that Krittika weakens Mula. If you know the symbolism of those two nakshatras, then you already have some interesting dialogue going on inside your mind. Let's explore what the symbolism there is. The nature of Mula is to expose something, uproot it. And by uprooting the thing, it either proves it to be a treasure or it proves it to be a fake. The way it proves it to be a fake is by how its fakeness causes friction against other fake things. And this is why Mula is described as pratipanjanta prastat, pratishranto vastat. By pulling things out and making things clash against each other, it causes those things to destroy each other. It's the nature of Mula. Today, we have the moon in Krittika, weakening Mula. So now let's talk about the nature of Krittika. Krittika is described as shukram prastat jyotiravastat, that it needs fuel to release light. Krittika's nature is very sharp, sparky, initiating, like a spark igniting a fire. It's very, very fascinating that Krittika acts as Vipada, or weakener, for Mula. This lesson mirrors very closely the lesson that we had with the previous ingress that had a Tarabala of Vipad, of weakening. That was Uttarashada. Uttarashada is about declaring war and claiming mastery, claiming victory. So that was fascinating. Going out and declaring open war will weaken Mula, the lie destroyer. Now today, we got really the same message with Krittika as weakening us. Krittika, like Uttarashada, is to go out and do it. That's what Krittika is all about. It's the initiating nakshatra. It's the spark, the catalyst, the thing that sets in motion. You don't want to do that if you want Mula to be successful. Why not? Shouldn't you go out and attack lies? No, like we've been talking about through this whole lunation, you don't have the power to overthrow these lies. So then what do? You don't just sit back and wait and do nothing. You do sit back. Remember, all of this is also highlighting how Mula belongs to a goddess. It's a feminine nakshatra. So it's not quite aggressive in how it's doing its destruction. Rather, it's pulling things into a position in which they will destroy themselves. And her nails don't break. And she gets no scrapes. So what we have to learn today is not to try to rush in and be the hero. Be patient. Don't rush. These lies will destroy themselves. All we have to do is bring them up into the light, and then they destroy themselves. So it's not that we sit back doing nothing. We bring these things to light by doing all the ingresses that were favorable for us, like asking important questions. And there's one more fascinating thing about Krittika. The way that Krittika malfunctions, whenever a nakshatra malfunctions, it gets an over-reliance on its parastat, or its necessity. Krittika's parastat is fuel, and what it wants to do with the fuel is crack it open and get the energy out. So this is also a clue to how you have to manage your allies. The previous sampad in the cycle before this was to have allies. It was Purvashada. Now how do you handle your allies? You have to be careful about that. You can't just burn them. You actually have to be careful to nourish them. So 2 lessons for today. In the war against lies, don't rush to the front lines. You stay back behind the front lines and let the bombs destroy each other. That's the first lesson. The second lesson is, in your allies, they're truly your allies. They're not just your resources.